Hey everybody, it's meteorologist Brad Penovich for SkiSoutheast.com, and the cool weather continues. It's Thanksgiving week, and who can't get psyched up when we have Thanksgiving week and we have ski resorts opening across the Southeast? The pattern could not be any better for snowmaking. I'd love to give you some natural snow. We might see a little by the time this weekend is over, but let's talk about the cold air first, because we're seeing these dips in the jet stream moving in. We've got one really big one over us now, but another one moves in after Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving night into Thursday night and Friday morning. So there it is. I know it doesn't look like much, but that's a nice little quick shot of cold and yes, maybe even some snow, which I'll show you in a minute. But the reason I like this pattern is it looks a lot like last winter. If you remember last winter, let's put COVID aside for a second. It was an amazing winter, even though it was pretty warm and snow-free. Now, the reason it was nice was we overall had a warmer than average and drier than average winter. But what happened was we got very timely cold air like once every week, week and a half, which kept the resorts able to make tons of snow and time out all the big weekends. And we're kind of seeing this same pattern. So you see these shots of cold, they wane and they go away for a couple of days, and then another one comes in on Sunday, then it goes away for a couple of days, and it looks like another one tries to come in next week. So I like this pattern a lot more than the permanent southeast ridge, which can be problematic. So let's talk about the first system. This is really going to be Thursday night. So we'll go into Thursday night, and you can see that system moves through, and there you are. It moves through with some snow Friday morning. That's some northwest flow. The Great Lakes are wide open, so we get a pretty good northwest flow event. And then another little surge, kind of like an Alberta Clipper, comes through Sunday night into Monday. That's possibly going to bring us another surge of northwest flow snow. And you can see it actually coming off the Great Lakes there. Anytime you see these connections coming off the Great Lakes, that's what you want to see. Right now, this pattern here is more southwesterly, so that's not great. But eventually, we'll see that kind of set up. So let's look at the snowfall totals, because this is the fun part, right? So here's our Thursday night into Friday morning thing. So Friday morning, there's a quick little burst, 1 to 2, 3 inches, maybe some higher amounts up here in West Virginia. But again, with the snow guns going like 24/7 this week, throw a little bit of natural on, it's going to be great. And then watch the little clipper system comes in Sunday, Monday, adds a little bit more next week right there. So that's a little more promising. So I really kind of like that setup as we look going into next week. So really this weekend looks great, but next week doesn't look bad either. And if we start looking at some of the bigger model runs out into the future, what are we going to see with this pattern going into December? Well, let's take a quick look at this, because one of the things we're looking at, we want to see this cooler than average weather pattern stay over the East Coast. You see all the warmth here out west, but watch what happens through time as we look at the ensemble runs of the European. Pretty cold pattern going through the weekend into next week. So this is going into next week, Wednesday, Thursday. The cold air is pretty persistent there over the northeast. But then we start to see, as we get towards the 5th of December, which will be next weekend, we start to see the cold move out. So there's signs that maybe there's going to be a little bit of a warm-up, maybe towards that first week. But then if you look carefully here, what's this cold air going to do? There's a bunch of cold air bottled up here in western Canada and Alaska. The question is, does this dive south and does the west get the cold, or does this come to the northeast again and maybe sink down the east coast? Because if we get blocking over the northern Atlantic, we would love to see this cold air get shoved down the east coast. And in a La Nina winter, typically it's kind of doom and gloom. You think, oh, it's warm and it's going to be snow-free. That's definitely the average over time. But one of the ways you can end up with a cold and snowier winter than expected is if this ridging or blocking over the Greenland, eastern Canada, lets this cold air comes down into the eastern part of the country instead of into the Midwest. So that's just something to keep a close eye on. I think it's definitely something that could happen, at least in the short term, but December looks to be a pretty wild ride here. So here's a quick look at the forecast as I leave you tonight. Great snowmaking, West Virginia, Virginia, Maryland, all the way through Monday of next week. Some natural snow sprinkled in there Friday morning, and again Sunday night into Monday morning. But this is a really nice setup for snowmaking. The only day I think North Carolina is going to be a little questionable. It's going to be on Thursday for Thanksgiving. It gets kind of warm. We get southwest winds ahead of that front, maybe some rain before it changes back to snow on Friday. So good news, great snowmaking conditions for all the resorts. They're blowing snow like crazy. Stay tuned to the updates on our conditions page at skisoutheast.com, because I think you're going to see terrain opening left and right here over the next couple of days. If you are traveling for Thanksgiving, please be safe. Have a great Thanksgiving holiday. If you're hitting the slopes, I'm super jealous. And as always, I always tell you, think snow where you haven't had the big one yet or any big storm, but the cold, that's step number one.